बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट हमेशा दस देना है कि बड़े इंटेलेक्चुअल गेस्ट मैं लेके आना।
ਅਕਾਲ ਚੈਨਲ ਨੂੰ ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕਰੋ ਨਵੀਂ ਵੀਡੀਓਜ਼ ਦੀ ਨੋਟੀਫਿਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਬੈਲ ਆਈਕਨ ਨੂੰ ਕਲਿੱਕ ਕਰਨਾ ਨਾ ਭੁੱਲਣਾ।
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ, ਮੈਂ ਇਸਮਾਲ ਜਾਲੀ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਦ ਲੇਟ ਸ਼ੋ। ਅਗਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਯੂਕੇ ਦੇ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਕੋਨੇ 'ਚ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹੋ, ਬੜਾ ਨਿੱਘਾ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਨਾ ਕਰਿਓ, ਆਮ ਬਿਟ ਅੰਡਰ ਦ ਵੈਦਰ ਯੂ ਨੋ। ਅਸੀਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ 'ਚ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅੰਡਰ ਦ ਵੈਦਰ, ਅਗਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ 'ਚ ਚੇਂਜ ਕਰੋ, ਆਈ ਡੋਂਟ ਨੋ ਹਾਊ ਟੂ ਸੇ ਦੈਟ। I don't think there's Punjabi for that kind of weatherly. ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਕੇ ਲਿਜਾਣ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਬੜਾ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਦੱਸ ਦੇਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਬੜੇ ਇੰਟੈਲੈਕਚੁਅਲ ਗੈਸਟ ਮੈਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਕਿ ਬੜਾ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਨਾਟ ਓਨਲੀ ਟੂਡੇ ਐਵਰੀ ਟਾਈਮ। ਜਿਹੜਾ ਗੈਸਟ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਫਿਰ ਉਹਦਾ ਦੇ ਐਕਸਪਰਟ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਦਾ, ਇੰਟੈਲੈਕਚੁਅਲ ਗੈਸਟ ਦੇ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਇਨ ਦਾ ਫੀਲਡ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਪਰ ਐਡਵਾਈਸ ਮਿਲੇ। ਇੱਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਕੇ ਲਿਜਾਣ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕਹਾਂਗਾ, you know, lot of times ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਐਡਵਾਈਸ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਲੈ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਉਹ ਆਈ ਨੋ ਇਟ ਆਲ। ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਦੀ ਫਰਾਡ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਾ, ਟਰਸਟ ਮੀ, ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬ੍ਰੇਨ ਵਾਸ਼ ਕਰ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਬਿਫੋਰ ਯੂ ਨੋ ਇਟਸ ਟੂ ਲੇਟ। ਮੈਂ ਉਮੀਦ ਰੱਖਦਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਅੱਛੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇਖੋਗੇ, ਇੰਜੋਏ ਕਰੋਗੇ। ਨਾ ਬਿਫੋਰ ਇੰਟਰੋਡਿਊਸ ਮਾਈ ਗੈਸਟ, ਵੈਰੀ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ, ਮੇਰਾ ਜਿਗਰੀ ਦੋਸਤ ਸਰਦਾਰ ਮਲਕੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸੌਂਡ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ, ਹੀ ਇਜ਼ ਅ ਹਾਕੀ ਲੈਜੈਂਡ। ਭਾਜੀ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਨਹੀਂ, ਲਿਟਲ ਬਰਡ ਫਲੀ ਓਵਰ ਮਾਈ ਹਾਊਸ, ਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਉਹਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਰਥਡੇ ਹੈ। ਭਾਜੀ ਆਈ ਐਮ ਸੋ ਓਨਰ, ਸੋ ਪ੍ਰਿਵਿਲੇਜ ਟੂ ਹੈਵ ਅ ਫਰੈਂਡ ਲਾਈਕ ਯੂ। ਬੜੇ ਕਿਸਮਤ ਵਾਲੇ ਲੋਕ ਨੇ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਯਾਰ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੋ। ਓਨੈਸਟਲੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਪਿਆ, ਸੋ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ। ਯੂ ਆਰ ਅ ਰੇਅਰ ਪੀਸ, ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਡਾਇਮੰਡ ਰੇਅਰ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਾ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉੱਦਾਂ ਹੈਗੇ ਹੋ। ਐਂਡ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਉਮੀਦ ਰੱਖਦਾ, ਪ੍ਰੇ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਰੱਬ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੰਮੀ ਉਮਰ ਦੇਵੇ ਅਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਬਾਹਰ 'ਚ ਰਹੋ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮਪਲ ਪਕੜ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਲਾਈਫ ਲੀਡ ਕਰ ਸਕੀਏ। ਚਲੋ ਮੈਂ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਕੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਣਾ, ਮੇਰੇ ਗੈਸਟ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਟਰੋਡਿਊਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਵੀ ਸਟਾਰਟ ਟੋਕਿੰਗ ਟੂ। ਉਹਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਹੈਗਾ ਰੇਮਨ। ਰੇਮਨ, ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦ ਸ਼ੋਅ।
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you for traveling for so distance.
No, not to worry at all.
Can you understand me, because the voice with gold?
No, I can.
It's not the speakers. Volume na change kariyo. Thodi TV kharab nahi hegi. It's my voice today.
No, it's all good. I can understand. Perfect.
That's good. Raman, you know, it's very interesting. Jo tusi ka pehli gal te, you know, ਜਦੋਂ ਬੱਚੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਨਾ, you do something like what you're doing, so professional.
Yeah.
For the father, ਕਿੰਨੀ honor ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ, you know, internally ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ। I'm telling you, don't know. Internally they feel so proud ਕਿ ਯਾਰ ਮੇਰੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਕੀਤਾ, ਮੇਰੇ ਇਹ ਕੀਤਾ। ਜੇ ਤੇਰੀ ਕੋਲ ਡੈਡ ਕਦੀ ਤਾਰੀਫ ਕਰੇਗਾ ਨਾ, you probably dad, you tell him don't say that. Yeah. Because that's what my kid do, no?
Yeah. Of course, you know, I didn't always expect to be in the banking industry. You know, when I was, you know, a young kid growing up, you know, when I was in secondary school.
So let's start from where were you born, by the way?
So I was born here in England, in the UK. Went to school here as well, primary school all the way up until secondary school to college. Then after I left college in 2015, I decided to get a soccer scholarship to play football and study in the United States. So I was there for a couple of years. I'd done finance and economics as well.
When did you decide this is what you wanted to do? You know, mera bada important hai, because when I'm going back, like when we were younger, we were going aimlessly. Sare paas koi guide nahi si hunda. Parents kehte si mere paas paise hai tu pal la. That's not good enough. Okay, it's good enough because he's got money to support me, you know.
Yes.
But then you think, okay, my dad's got the money. Why do I need to study?
Of course. Then you kind of, you know, fall back on that. You know, growing up, education, you know, in an Asian household, as you would know, you know, education is key, and it's always a good thing to have the education behind you to fall back on. And I've always, you know, known that, you know, I wanted to go to university, to go to the next level, and not only, you know, give something to the family to be proud of, but also for my own recollection. Absolutely. To say that I've achieved this. But
when you're talking, I'm pick up some questions as you talk.
Yeah, of course.
It's not an interruption. It's like I'm digging out. ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਬਣਦੇ ਹੋ ਨਾ, the first thing I picked up from you is that you were focused from the right young age.
Yeah.
You knew what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Clear mind. You're heading for that and you achieved it.
Yes, yeah.
Then you said you took about your parents and for yourself. It's for the community as well.
Yeah, of course.
देखो एक दफ़ा पता की होती है रेमन, एक चीज़ बड़ी अच्छी गल लगी है, he doesn't speak Punjabi but he fully understands me, which is so good. It's easier for me anyway.
I wish I could talk Punjabi. I'm learning as we go.
You should do that. You should do that. क्योंकि जितने भी सारे पंजाबी है ना, they really get connected.
Yes.
They wait for my show to come on. कुछ ना कुछ अच्छे गल्ला मेरे शो ना रेमन जिन्ने होंदे ना, I want कि किसी दा भला हो जाए. Something good happens to people.
Yeah.
I don't want ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ 'ਚ ਕੀ ਆਦਤ ਹੈਗੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੁਝ ਖਰਾਬ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਨਾ
Yeah.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸ ਦੇਣੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰੋ ਆਪਣਾ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਹੋਇਆ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਵਿਕਟਮ ਨਾ ਬਣੇ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦਾ ਸੋ ਪ੍ਰਾਊਡ ਦੂਸਰੀ ਗੱਲ
Yeah.
young age ਤੁਸੀਂ focus you achieve something and you see this is what I'm going to tell you
Yeah.
the like a Punjabi channel our channel Akaal Channel
Yeah.
we look people like you don't have to call them they call you
Yeah.
okay, please come to the show I want you to share your experience with the people this is something you achieved
Yes, yeah. So, knowing after studying finance and economics, it was something that, this is the field that I want to get into. This is, the level I want to get to and explore the financial world. Because, growing up, you never, you're not taught life, through school, mortgages, credit cards, everything.
Nothing like that.
Nothing like that. There's no life skills, and I think you have to put yourself out there to learn those life skills. And going abroad, living abroad, living at home, I was comfortable, food on the table, everything made for me, mum would do the washing. But when I moved out, then it all changed. So then I had to learn how to cook, had to learn how to do the washing. So I think being independent is the way forward in life, and I think having good role models around you as well also helps to push you in the right direction. There's a common saying where you surround yourself with successful, positive people, then that would radiate onto you, and then you would also gain that same
That's
success and
another thing
positivity.
you hit the nail because I'm going to go through my life
Yeah.
and your life together. Jere parents ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨਾ Ramon,
Yes.
like your mother,
Yes.
she'll do everything for you.
Yeah.
Now people say that she's spoiling. She's not spoiling you, but that's the love of the mother.
Yes.
Mother ਤੇ ਬਾਪ ਕਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੋਚਦਾ ਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੂੰ ਇਕੱਲਾ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਰਹੇਗਾ you're going to start your life with your family.
Yeah.
How are you going to cope? No, she wants to give you the comfort now when she's alive
Yeah.
and looking after you.
Yeah,
It's a tradition, but
Yes.
a great cheese. Yeah.
Yeah. Goes from mothers to grandmothers. And, not a lot of people outside of the culture might understand that. They might think you are getting spoiled, but it's just their way of showing, the love and, kind of in a way preparing you for when you do step out of the family nest as such and then go on and live your independent life and build a family of your own and then incorporate what they've taught you growing up and then you implement that in your family as well.
I always talk, my har show ch mera mention karda hai,
Yeah.
parents can teach you certain things.
Yes. Yeah.
ਹਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਟੀਚ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਐਜੂਕੇਟ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਟਰੋਂਗ ਬਣਾਉਣਗੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਹੈਲਦੀ ਬਣਾਉਣਗੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਪਈ ਹੈ ਬਟ ਦ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਵਿਲ ਨੈਵਰ ਟੀਚ ਯੂ if not here tomorrow
Yes.
how to cope
How
with
to
that
cope, yes.
they can't do that.
No. It's just the way of life. And
That's the way of life,
Yeah,
huh?
it's the way of life. But I think, the one key thing that I would say is as well, making mistakes is not mistakes, it's, life lessons. You learn from those mistakes. So if you don't put yourself in those situations and you don't, like businessmen and entrepreneurs, if you don't go head first into whatever business industry that you want to go into, you would never know if you're going to succeed or not. And I think that's the journey of learning and the way of life of moving forward to not only making those mistakes but learning from them and making a positive impact on those mistakes.
ਅਸੀਂ ਨਾ ਅੱਜ ਜਾਸਤੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਫਰਾਡ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਪਿਆ there are different kind of frauds credit card ਦਾ cold calling ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ lot of times ਜਦੋਂ ਕੋਵਿਡ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਬੜੇ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਹਾਦਸੇ ਹੋਏ ਸੀਗੇ ਕਈ ਦਫਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਵੀ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਯੂ ਅੰਡਰਪੇਡ an item ਜਿਹੜਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਰਡਰ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਲਿੱਕ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਰੋ ਵੀ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਟਾਕ ਅਬਾਊਟ ਦੈਟ ਬਹੁਤ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਹੈ ਐਟ ਦ ਮੋਮੈਂਟ ਅਸੀਂ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਕਰਦੇ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਇਕੁਅਲੀ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ ਵੈਰੀ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਰਿਮਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਨਾ
Yes.
when you even when you might be a father now but you will not know until your child becomes a teenager when they go out and live by themselves.
Yes, yeah.
Explore the world ਫਿਰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਕਿ ਲਾਈਫ ਕੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ and ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਨਾ ਮਾਂ ਪਿਓ ਲਈ you are still a child.
Yes, yeah.
You could become 50-year-old 60-year-old तो फिर भी
You'll
ਉਹਦਾ
always
ਬੱਚਾ
be classed as a baby.
you can't be his father he'll be your father for the lifetime.
Yeah.
So ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਰਿਸਪੈਕਟ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਲਵ ਹੈਗਾ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਦਾ there are certain traditions we have I salute them honestly ਬੜੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ and ਉਮੀਦ ਰੱਖਦਾ ਕਿ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਾਰੀ ਰੱਖੀਏ that should not die really.
Yeah. It's something that we should all, my father would pass on to me or his father would pass on to him, and I think it's a generational thing. So as long as we can keep that alive and keep that going and implementing that through our families in the future, then that part of the, shall we say, the legacy will never die. It will always go on.
Good stuff. Chalo, Ramon, now most important, let's go back to the fraud hega.
Yes. Yeah.
I had lots of personal experiences. They were very bitter, and honestly, you know, मैंने भी same चीज लगती थी कि जिदा मैं शुरुआत क्या के हटे हैं. I think I know it all. No, you don't know it all. When these people call you,
Yeah.
trust me, it's like they hypnotize you.
Yeah.
They make you do things, and you're doing it for them.
It's true.
Yeah?
Yeah. You know, there's so many different types of scams, so many different types of fraud, and you know, it's like a black hole that is forever changing, is forever developing, and you know, like you said, in your situation, you know, you have a call, and you know, they're so convincing in the way that they speak to you, and you know, the organizations that they claim to be from, and when it comes to money, that's your hard-earned money, which is the main thing, is what they get individuals on. That's where, you know, people start to panic, and people start to think, oh, you know, they are from this institution, and I need to move this money to this account, which is one of the main common types of frauds that people come across every day. You know, even as we're speaking now, there's someone that's probably fallen, unfortunately, to a victim of fraud.
My God. It's so sad.
Yeah,
isn't it?
It is because it's hard-earned money over time, and you know, there's a figures that I pulled from an article that was given earlier on today, and you know, from between January and June 2020, obviously during COVID times, there was around 15,000 cases that were reported of fraud, and it was up 84% of the previous year. And in that whole space of 1 year throughout 2020, there was around, I would say, £58 million that was lost due to people.
58
million pounds through the course of 2020, where people had fell victim to fraud and to the scams. And you know, it's a large amount of money for people's personal funds to lose. And you know, it's hard-earned money that they've earned throughout how many years, whether it's through savings, whether it's through work for employment, and that money will just, it's gone, disappeared, and it's very hard to get back.
मैं दस लम्हा जरा सी फैक्ट एंड फिगर दे देना. This were at the time जिदा रेमा ने दसिया कि 2020 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਸੀਗਾ, they change every year, they go up and up and up and up. It's very frightening. देखो, मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ ना, प्लीज ध्यान ना शो देखा करो, बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट. कुछ ना कुछ तेरे दिमाग च गल पेगी ना, you will wake up one day. ऐसे मिनट ऐसे टाइम के ऊपर कोई लुटिया जा रहा है, एंड a huge amount of money ਉਹਦੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਸੇਵਿੰਗ ਵਾਈਪ ਆਫ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਬੈਂਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਇਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ. ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਜਨਮ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ, ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਮੌਤ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ. This is the life how it goes on. Remember, the technology is so sophisticated, so high, and it frightens me like how easy it is for the fraudsters to hack your account.
Do you know what it is? The technology now, you know, with phones, with computers, with laptops, technology is forever changing year on year. I wouldn't even say year on year, month on month. There's always new gadgets that are coming out. There's always a new software that's being developed. And when it comes to scammers and it comes to fraudsters, there's always a way that they're one step ahead to try and capture these people and getting their funds. And whether that's, you know, through the impersonation calls, whether that's through, you know, logging in through your computer, through your laptop, through your phone. There's certain scammers in certain situations and articles that I've read where, you know, they tell you to download a software, and before you know it, they've got into your emails, they've got into your banking logins, they've gotten everything. So, you know, at the time you might not think anything of it. However, certain bits of information or questions that they ask you, it's leading to a bigger picture for them. So you might think that they're asking you a question that might not be relevant, but then when you reflect on it after, you kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together and you think, they asked me these questions and, you know, I gave them the answers, and now they kind of know your life story and, you know, where you're from, what type of passwords you might have, what your email addresses are, certain hints of certain phrases that you might use, which can lead on to, you know, getting your account hacked, which unfortunately is, you know, it's like COVID. It's something that we have to deal with, and it's something that we have to, you know, put out there to the public, which on this show is a great platform to use to give knowledge.
एक चीज मैं दसदा दमा जो से कोई गल्ला कर दे, it's very much like a chat show, informative, educational, but please don't panic, don't jump in. जो ਅਸੀਂ कहते हैं, you don't have to go back to the bank tomorrow and start doing different way things. Professional advice ਲਵੋ. ਆਪਣੇ ਬੈਂਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਹੈਗੇ, ਹਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ ਬੋਲਦੇ ਨੇ. Take an assistant, please ਜਾ ਕੇ advice ਲਵੋ. ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਕਰਕੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਮਾਈਂਡ ਨਾ ਚੇਂਜ ਕਰਿਓ, ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਇਹ ਜਨਰਲ ਟਾਕ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ. ਮੈਂ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਲਾਈਨਾਂ ਖੋਲਾਂਗਾ ਕਿ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਇਨਸੀਡੈਂਟ ਹੋਇਆ, ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਕਾਲ ਕਰਕੇ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰੋ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗੇ, ਕੋਈ ਹੋਰ ਵਿਕਟਿਮ ਨਾ ਬਣੇ ਉਹਦਾ. This is why I'm bringing this show on. Expert guy, a high street banker, who can give you professional advice. Then again, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਕੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਸੈਕੰਡ ਓਪੀਨੀਅਨ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੈਂਕ ਨਾਲ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋ ਉਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅੱਛੀ ਐਡਵਾਈਸ ਦੇਣਗੇ I'm going to start on ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਪੁੱਛਾਂਗਾ you're going to answer me but that doesn't mean these answers that you should go and do it. I'm going to ask you a question, credit card or debit card, which is the safer one?
I would say the credit card is the safest option. Reason being is that when, growing up, people might say having a credit card is bad, but in all honesty, credit cards are a good way as long as you use them vigilantly and you use them wisely. So, when it comes to booking anything online, whether it's flights, hotels, purchasing a product or receiving a good, your money is protected up to a certain amount, and there's not many people might know this, many people might know this, but it's the Section 75 Consumer Credit Act, which means that, that individual, when you're paying with the credit card, you're exempt and covered up to a certain amount, which I believe the figure might be around the £30,000 mark. So, if you was to use your personal funds, it's difficult, and when you're using your credit card, you're always covered in that way because you're not just using your money, but you're protected and more liable to get that money back potentially.
But थोड़ा ना easy Punjabi च explain करना, I'm sure उन्होंने बड़ा अच्छी तरह explain किया, but then a lot of people would want me to say this in Punjabi. ਜਦੋਂ credit card ਹੈਗਾ ਨਾ ਉੱਥੇ ਲਿਮਿਟ ਥੋੜੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਕ੍ਰੈਡਿਟ ਲਿਮਿਟ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ ਇਫ ਦਾ ਕਾਰਡ ਗੈਟ ਯੂਜ਼ਡ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੁਝ ਪਰਚੇਸ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ 에ਅਰਲਾਈਨ ਟਿਕਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਹੌਲੀਡੇ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਵਾਟ ਐਵਰ ਯੂ ਬਾਈ ਯੂ ਆਰ ਨੋਟ ਸਪੈਂਡਿੰਗ ਯੋਰ ਓਨ ਮਨੀ ਦਿਸ ਇਜ਼ ਦਾ ਬੈਂਕਸ ਮਨੀ ਸੋ ਕੱਲ ਕੁਝ ਉੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਡਿਲੀਵਰ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਜੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਰਡਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਨਾ the bank will fight because the money they lost it. अगर डेबिट कार्ड हैगा ਉਹਦੇ ਤੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਲਗੇ that's your money, that's gone. The bank might not be too much helpful there because you done it. And you can't help every Tom, Dick and Harry walking to you, मैं पैसे देते मैंने पैसे लेके दो because you got other things to do.
Yes, yeah, of course. I mean, the bank will help, or banks in general will help wherever and whenever they can. And, when you purchase something on your credit card, if the flight that you booked, the company went bust or they went into insolvency, or, the product that you purchased, something happened to that company, you're always protected up to that amount under the Section 75 Consumer Credit Act, which is what many people are not aware of.
But the other thing is, whether it's a debit card or it's a credit card, minimum amount rakho, minimum amount. So whenever you need the money, you can always transfer in because you want to use somewhere.
Of course.
Agar funds available again, that's easy way to fraud ho sakda thoda.
Yes, so it depends on, obviously nobody knows how much everybody has in the bank, but when you've got your credit card, you know that it's a lot safer when purchasing something online. And what people forget is, as well as what we was discussing earlier before the show, was, we had one instance of one of the colleagues on the show where they paid for something via, PayPal or third party, shall we say, companies. And, sometimes you might not be protected through those third party channels, and they might refer you to go through those third party channels in order to claim back those funds that you potentially might have lost. So it varies. It's such a vast knowledge gap of how we can educate individuals and people on how to use it in the right manner and how to use it correctly, and what flags, shall we say, to look out for when purchasing stuff online. Because as you know, during COVID, everything was online, and for scammers, it was, there was dollar signs in their eyes. It was like a cash cow. Everything was online, from getting your groceries delivered to parcels being delivered to ordering anything and everything.
You remember there was one fraud COVID time ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ, and they were to order the kit, ਜਿਹੜੀ test kit ਸੀਗੀ COVID ਦੀ, ਉਹਦਾ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਵੱਡਾ fraud ਸੀਗਾ. They were only selling you a little cheap one, one little box, but they hacked your account totally.
They could always log into your systems or log into your banking details, depending on what credentials they give you, or what the credentials they might ask you for. Even in your situation, when they're, these impersonation calls can be from organizations, or claim to be from organizations, from banks, retailers, even some situations the government, where they can act on behalf of the government, and even the police in certain situations. So it's, they're like actors, like you said, they can be convincing, they hypnotize you. And That's what I mean. You know, with bankers in general, they're always come across in a professional manner.
Ramon, I am a typical example here.
Yeah.
Because ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਪਿਆ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਕੋਈ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰੋ ਨਾ, don't feel embarrassed. ਮੈਂ ਅੱਛਾ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, I'm getting questions because it's important to know about the fraud ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ, ਕੀ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ. I would have been a victim.
Yes.
Knowing ਕਿ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ victim ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੇ fraud ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ, I still fell for it. But luckily, I'm telling you, I don't know what made me not do it.
Yeah.
And I kind of really, escaped that fraud. ਦੂਸਰੀ ਗੱਲ ਪਤਾ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਹੈਗੇ ਨਾ, these ਬੱਚੇ, they got technology, they are very good on the technology. ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਦਫਾ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਇੰਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਕਰੂ ਨਾ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਲਰਨ ਕਰਦੇ, please don't do that now, I think it's too late. ਥੋੜਾ ਬਹੁਤਾ ਸਿੱਖ ਜਾਵੋ, ਸਿੱਖ ਜਾਵੋ, ਪਰ don't operate yourself. ਬੱਚੇ ਦੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਲਵੋ, ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਦੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਲਵੋ, ਕਿਸੇ ਦੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਲਵੋ, ਖੁਦ ਨਾ ਕਰਿਓ ਕਿ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਿਖਾਤਾ, ਡੈਡ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅੱਧਾ ਪੇਮੈਂਟ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਠੱਕ ਕਰਕੇ ਕਰ ਦਿਓ. ਡੋਂਟ ਡੂ ਦੈਟ, ਦੈਟਸ ਵੈਰੀ ਰਿਸਕੀ. ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਦਫਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਬੱਚੇ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਨੇ ਯਾਰ ਮੇਰੇ ਡੈਡ ਨੂੰ ਕੁਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ, ਡੈਡ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੰਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਕਰਦਾ, ਮੈਂ ਖੁਦ ਕਰਾਂਗਾ.
It's true. You know, like we mentioned before, technology is changing, and you know, if you're not, you know, for the older generation, it's difficult for them because they don't understand the technology that is within the world at the moment, and you know, they might not understand certain aspects when they're buying something online, or you know, what websites they should go to, what to look out for, is it a secure website. It's always good to get a second opinion. It's always good to ask for help, and like you said, it's never feel embarrassed to, you know, ask for help in that situation, because at the end of the day, if you don't ask for help and then something happens, then
but that's where the fraud keeps happening, because we're not bringing it up in the open now.
Yes, yeah. It's always, like you said, you shouldn't feel embarrassed to explain your personal experiences when it comes to scams, when it comes to fraud, because ultimately if we don't explain it and we don't put it out there in the public, then it's a case of nobody else will know, and then they'll fall into the same trap, which then leads on to the same cycle.
Last show kind of, I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to give advice to the people. Mere khud di suggestion, your advice will come professional, because you know, I pick up things from here and there, but you're professional, you've done a courses, a degree in that professionally. Agar tusi sure nahi hai na, don't do nothing at all. Don't try to be clever कि चल मैं कोशिश करना, मैं लर्न कर लेना है. And अगर कोई बड़ा छोटी जी आइटम है 5-10 पाउंड दी हैगी है, तुसी सोचदे हो चलो 10 पाउंड मेरे चलणगे, कोई नहीं. It's not only 10 pounds, but they can hack your account.
Yes, yeah. Like, you know, during COVID, everybody was ordering parcels, everybody was ordering online. And you know, the messages that, it's like a phishing text message or emails that were going around where, you know, you're expecting a parcel, it's held at wherever, and you know, please pay the VAT or the postage or the stampage fee on that product. So everybody was expecting parcels, everybody was expecting something to come through the door. So as soon as they see those messages, they automatically assume that they're waiting for something, that's my parcel, I need to sort it out. So then they'll click on the link via the text message that they get. Once they go onto the link, it would redirect them to a cloned website of whatever organization that it could be, and start typing in their card details. And like you said, with it being such a low amount, it's not just £3, it's not just £5, it's a lot more.
You're giving away
in the hindsight, in the future essence.
Generally, question puts there, what's your favorite team? And blah blah blah. All the questions to address your date of birth. You're giving all that it's so easy for them to go to your.
And it's not just going to happen that one time. You might say, oh, it's only £3.50 for the stampage fee or the postage fee. I'll pay that.
I'll pay that. Doesn't matter.
It's your card details that you're inputting on this potentially cloned website, and they might take the £3, but then 6 weeks down the line, they might take more money from your account without you even realizing it until you actually see your bank statements. So
I'll be honest, मैंने message आया कल ही कि तेरे parcel under payment है गया, तू link ना web खोल के ना link नो pay the difference, then we get it delivered. पहली गल ते मैं parcel ही नहीं deliver किया, you got to think about it ना. तुझे जो expect ही नहीं करते, why should you, once you open the link, you've done it. It's too late then.
Yes, yeah. And even people that aren't expecting any parcels or any...
People still do it.
They still do it. It's just a thing of, you know, you get a message and you're expecting something, and you God knows what happens in our brains, but there's something that says, even though we know we haven't ordered anything...
We haven't ordered it.
Let's just find out. We're curious. It's just human nature. You're curious to see, oh, what parcel is it that I'm expecting? You click on the link, and then it leads you from one place to another, and then before you know it, you've given your details without even without knowing in your
ਯਾਰ
subconsciously
ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ
giving
ਨਾ
it.
ਸੌਂਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਾਤ ਨੂੰ
Yeah.
ਮੇਰਾ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਤੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਭੇਜ ਦੇ ਪਾਰਸਲ ਉਹਦੀ ਨਿੰਦਰ ਮਿਸ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਸਾਰੀ ਰਾਤ ਦੀ ਬਸ ਸਰ ਮੇਡ ਬੀ ਸੈਂਡ ਦਾ ਪਾਰਸਲ ਬੈਕ
Yeah.
ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਇਟਸ ਜਸਟ ਅ ਫਰਾਡ
Yes.
ਰੇਮਨ ਹੋਣਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਕ੍ਰੈਡਿਟ ਕਾਰਡ ਡੈਬਿਟ ਕਾਰਡ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ lot of people will understand but in detail to ਦੱਸਿਓ what is cold calling.
Cold calling, I would say, is just when you've got a phone call from out of the blue, unexpected, and like I mentioned before, it could be someone that is impersonating to be someone from a recognized institution, whether it's from the banks, whether it's from a retailer or anybody. And what they do is they cold call you, they start having general chit chat, general conversation with yourself, and it will then start to lead on to them asking further details about you, personal details.
I'm sorry, the time goes so quick. Would you believe we're going through the half time?
Oh wow.
I know. I told you because time goes flies,
Yeah.
man. Time ਕਿਸੇ ਲਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਰੁਕਦਾ. Please ਥੋੜੀ ਵੇਟ ਕਰੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਵਾਪਸ ਆਵਾਂਗੇ. ਹੁਣ after the break we can open the line 0208 571 4279. Please ਆਪਣਾ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰੋ ਤੇ ਅੱਛਾ ਲੱਗੇਗਾ ਲੋਕੀ ਹੋਰ ਅਵੇਅਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਣੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਧੋਖਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਗਾ. Stay tuned in. We'll come back within a few minutes. Thank you ਜੀ. ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ.
ਅਕਾਲ ਚੈਨਲ ਨੂੰ ਸਬਸਕ੍ਰਾਈਬ ਕਰੋ ਨਵੀਂ ਵੀਡੀਓਜ਼ ਦੀ ਨੋਟੀਫਿਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਬੈਲ ਆਈਕਨ ਨੂੰ ਕਲਿੱਕ ਕਰਨਾ ਨਾ ਭੁੱਲਣਾ.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ. ਵੈਲਕਮ ਬੈਕ ਇਨ ਦ ਸੈਕੰਡ ਪਾਰਟ. ਮੈਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੈਕੰਡ ਪਾਰਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਤੋਂ ਦੇਖਿਆ ਕਰੋ. ਹਰ ਦਫਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀਆਂ. ਵੀ ਡੋਨਟ ਨੋ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਚਰਚ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕਰਨੀ ਕਿਹੜੀ ਬਾਅਦ ਕਰਨੀ ਹੈ. ਵੀ ਟਰਾਈ ਟੂ ਗੋ ਵੈਰੀ ਮਚ ਇਨ ਸਿਸਟਮ. ਜੋ ਵੀ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਟਿਵ ਸ਼ੋ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਬੜਾ ਕੁਝ ਸਿੱਖਣ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਹੈ. ਮੈਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਸ਼ੋ ਕਰਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖੋ. ਐਟਲੀਸਟ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੈਂ ਪ੍ਰੋਫੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਇੰਟੈਲੈਕਚੁਅਲ ਗੈਸਟ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਨਾ ਲੈਟਸ ਰਿਸਪੈਕਟ ਦੋ ਚਿਲਡਰਨ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਦੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਕਰਕੇ ਦੇ ਸਿਟਿੰਗ ਔਨ ਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਟੀਵੀ ਤੋਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਐਡਵਾਈਸ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਭਲਾ ਲਈ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਪੈਸਾ ਲੂਜ਼ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ. ਚਲੋ ਵੀ ਗੋਇੰ ਟੂ ਟੇਕ ਸ਼ੋ ਫਾਰਵਰਡ. ਅਗਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਡੂ ਕਾਲ ਦ ਟੈਲੀਫੋਨ ਨੰਬਰ ਆਈ ਥਿੰਕ ਇਜ਼ ਔਨ ਦ ਸਕਰੀਨ 0208 571 4279. ਮੇਰੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਦਾ ਮਾਫ ਕਰਨਾ ਪਲੀਜ਼. like this the show has to go on and I'm trying my best to make sure the show does go on. Responsibility commitment ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਵੇਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ. So this is ਆਪਣੇ ਖਿਆਲਾਤ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਫੀਲ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ I can't let you down. ਰਮਨ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ get calls like ਬੰਦੇ ਰਿਟਾਇਰ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਲਿਮਿਟਡ ਇਨਕਮ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਐਂਡ ਉੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਬੰਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਾਲ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ. He's not interested because call ਏਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੰਨਾ ਪੈਸਾ ਇਨਵੈਸਟ ਕਰੋ ਇੱਕ ਮਹੀਨੇ 'ਚ ਮੈਂ ਡਬਲ ਕਰ ਦਾਂਗਾ.
Yeah.
And people fall for that.
I've come across certain instances where certain family and friends they've fallen into that trap where some people have whether it's through social media, whether it's through cold calling, fallen into the trap of where they say we're investors in the financial market. If you give us X amount of funds, we will be able to give you this amount of money back within 2-3 weeks, or double your money. Whatever you invest in, we'll double it, which is always too good to be true. And 9 times out of 10, it's always too good to be true. Where that in those situations, it will never happen. I've invested in the stock market, in the foreign currency market. Yet certain stocks have been great, certain stocks have been bad. But those are the ones that we have to look out for, because even in social media now, I still get messages on Instagram, Facebook, even by email, where people are saying, send me this amount of money and we will double your money and give you an extra stream of income, or a passive income is what they call it, where if you're getting asked that, there's ways of going around it and catching that person or that fraudster out, where every trader or every financial investor will have verified stats. It's all on a public domain, where if they're regulated by the FCA, if they're regulated by Financial Conduct Authority, or whoever it is, a financial institution, they will always have verified stats of how much money they've invested, how much money they've made, how many trades they've lost, for example. And those are the ones to look out for. And even when I say these to the scammers that message me day in, day out, you don't hear from them again, because they know that you're clued on to the markets, and they know that, okay, we've been caught out because he's asking us for verified stats, or who are we regulated by. So those are the ones to look out for. And if you want to get involved in the financial markets, always go to the recommended, do your recommended research, do your due diligence, do your research, and find these various institutions that can help you get into those markets without being scammed.
You know important ਹੈਗਾ ਮੈਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛੋ ਬੱਚੇ ਪੜ੍ਹੇ ਲਿਖੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਅਗਰ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੇ ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਫੀਲਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਰੇਮਨ ਹੈਗਾ ਯੂ ਹੈਵ ਫੈਮਿਲੀ ਫਰੈਂਡਸ ਲਾਈਕ ਹਿਮ ਕਨੈਕਸ਼ਨਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਜਾਣ ਪਛਾਣ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਫਾਦਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਗੇ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਐਂਡ ਇਟਸ ਅ ਪ੍ਰਾਊਡ ਮੂਮੈਂਟ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਫੀਲਡ 'ਚ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਪੋਲੀਟਿਕਸ 'ਚ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਮੈਡੀਸਨ 'ਚ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਫਾਈਨੈਂਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਗੇ ਨੇ ਸੋ ਦੇयर इज ਹੈਲਪ ਆਊਟ देयर ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਕਦੇ ਵੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਨਾ ਕਰੋ ਰਮਨ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈਗੀ ਮੂਵਿੰਗ ਅਵੇ ਫਰੋਮ the cash account ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਜਾਂ ਕ੍ਰੈਡਿਟ ਕਾਰਡ ਜਾਂ ਡੈਬਿਟ ਕਾਰਡ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ the call calling ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਫੇਸਬੁੱਕ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਮੈਸੇਂਜਰ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਨਾ ਉਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਨੰਬਰ ਦੇ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਫੋਨ ਨੰਬਰ ਵਗੈਰਾ there are lot of things you're passing on unknowingly ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਫੇਸਬੁੱਕ 'ਚ ਕੋਈ ਫਰੈਂਡ ਬਣ ਗਿਆ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡਾ ਫਰਾਡ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਮੈਂ ਹਾਲੇ ਨਾ ਕੰਟਰੀ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਲਵਾਂਗਾ ਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਫਰਾਡ ਦਾ ਲਵਾਂਗਾ ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਇਟਸ ਵੈਰੀ ਡੈਲੀਕੇਟ accusation ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ I need to get the figure and facts right before we can bring this show on air ਬਹੁਤ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਹੈਗਾ ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵਾਚ ਕਰਿਓ ਬੜੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਾਨ ਬਚੇਗੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਟਸ ਅ ਵੈਰੀ ਸੈਂਸਿਟਿਵ ਟੌਪਿਕ ਐਂਡ ਬੱਚੇ ਬੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਕੰਬੈਰਸ ਵੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਣਗੇ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਸਾਈਡ ਤੇ ਕਿਉਂ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੋ some people go there accidentally and they fall into trouble big trouble so we'll talk about that some other time ਹੁਣ ਅਦਮ ਟਾਈਮ ਬੜੀ ਫਾਸਟ ਜਾ ਰਿਹਾ I think let's start it now because ਮੈਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਬੜੇ ਸਵਾਲ ਪੁੱਛਣੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਗੱਲੇ ਕਰਦਾ ਰਵਾਂਗੇ you know ਮੈਂ ਹੁਣ ATM ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੀ ਕਰੋ ਅਕਾਊਂਟ ਨੰਬਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਫੋਨ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਪੁੱਛਦਾ ਪਿਆ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਬੈਂਕ ਚੋਂ ਕਾਲ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ 100% ਸ਼ੋਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ ਨਾ ਦੇਵੋ but you can't be 100% sure just don't do it
Yeah, if you're never comfortable, you know, if you're getting a cold call, for example, from someone who claims to be from a recognized institution, if you're not comfortable being on that call with that individual, the only way or the best way to deal with it is to literally just say, look, you know, you're not comfortable. If it's something serious, I'll come into the store or I'll come to whatever institution they're calling from and deal with someone face to face. Either that or, you know, if they're claiming to be from your bank, then you can always hang up the phone and call the number that's given on the back of your card. Every bank card has the head office number on there, their main customer service contact line. And if you're not comfortable being on that call or willing to give certain, you know, passwords or certain credentials, then you can hang up and call the number on the back of your card. And I guarantee that, if, you know, 9 times out of 10, that if you call the number on the back of your card and go to speak to someone to say someone from the bank, for example, called me, they would have no recollection of it because it's
9
not on
of
their
10 they will not give you their number to call them back
yeah
because on SM they which there are offices all over UK who are working full time on this fraud the upper millions to see figure ਦੱਸ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ how many millions was it
58 million
58 million the fraud 2020 ਦਾ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ COVID ਦੇ ਟਾਈਮ ਤੇ ਹੋਇਆ it's a huge amount ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ hard earned money ਹੈਗੀ ਆ you know even if you're a businessman but to lose that kind of money oh my God, you know, you could have a heart attack, you die over this because kaya bandar like mine, you're going to the end of the road now. There's no way you're going to recover that kind of money. As a bank ਕੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ ਅਗਰ ਅਗਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਖੁਦ ਹੀ ਮੇਰਾ ਇੱਕ ਪਰਸਨਲ ਐਕਸਪੀਰੀਅੰਸ ਹੈਗਾ ਐਂਡ ਜਦੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਕਹਿ ਕੇ ਹਟਿਆ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕ੍ਰੈਡਿਟ ਕਾਰਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਡੈਬਿਟ ਕਾਰਡ ਥੋੜਾ ਪੈਸਾ ਰੱਖੋ ਕਿਸੇ ਸੇਫ ਅਕਾਊਂਟ 'ਚ ਪੈਸਾ ਰੱਖ ਕੇ ਥੋੜਾ ਮੂਵ ਕਰੋ that guy made me move money from there to there to there and ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਨਾ I was doing it, Ramon.
Yeah, so the main situation where they come across is like in your situation where they've got you by saying that your account has been compromised, for example, and your funds are at risk. The money that you have in your account is at risk. So automatically your brain is thinking, I don't want to lose that money. And, you know, when they say to transfer funds from this account to what they claim to be a secure account.
Secure account.
It's not a secure account.
That's where they get the money out from then, no?
Yeah. So it's probably where they get you to transfer the funds from your main account to their account. And then once it's in that account, I assume whatever they do with it, I have no idea. But that's how they lure you in to releasing funds from your account. So it's not necessarily that they have to hack into your account. They literally just manipulate you in thinking that your main account is at risk. Please transfer these funds out to their account because once it's in their account, they have all the power and all the authority to do whatever they want with those funds.
Raymond, you know when this happened to me, like I said right in the beginning of the show, ਅਸੀਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਾ ਪਤਾ we know what to do, we know how to do it. No, you don't. Trust me, ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬੁਰਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਨਾ you will kick yourself for doing this. ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਫ਼ ਦੱਸਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੰਟਰਡਿਕਟ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੁਣ you know ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਪਿਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਹੋਵੇ I was ashamed to tell my kids because they will have to go at me. Dad, how can you do that?
How can you fall for it?
How can you fall for it? I
Yeah.
got no answer for that.
It's you know, with the older generation, that's where they're most vulnerable. And you know, when it comes to your hard-earned money and when you get these calls, you know, the older generation, they don't have the concept of the online banking platform. They just think that they have the account, it's secure, it's safe. But then there's people from, you know, these third-party scammers that come in externally and try and throw these individuals off in trying to move funds out of their main account into other accounts, whether it be in one lump sum or whether it be transferred to these multiple accounts. And you know, once that money is gone, it's ultimately, you know, it's very hard to get back. And unfortunately, it's something that the older generation do fall for because that's, say, their retirement fund, is their pension, and you know, they're scared to lose it.
Yeah, it's a very
Yeah,
cruel world we live in, honestly,
It
very
is, it
cruel.
is.
Damon, before we run out of the time, I want you to look at that camera. Please advise to, but most important, I see a lot of people being robbed at the ATM.
Yeah.
Any other scam, which we not discussed, I'd like you to talk about it. Koi ਹੋਰ advice ਦੇਣੀ ਹੈ by all means.
When it comes to the ATMs, obviously you always have to be vigilant when it comes to withdrawing money from an ATM, whether that's looking over your shoulder, making sure that there's nobody too close behind, and even covering your PIN number when you're typing in these ATMs, because you know, many years ago ATM fraud was a massive thing where the fascias of the ATM machines were getting put on, where there was card readers where you put your card in the machine, but it was going through another system where they were scanning your card details. There was cameras on the underside of the ATM looking down at your PIN number as well. I think now with the technology changing, I think we're drawing away from the ATM side, and I think it's mainly predominantly done online now with the technology that we have in the world. And ATM fraud is not done as much as it happened many years ago. So it's just a case of being more vigilant, being more wise, understanding your environment. And you know, when we all go to ATM machines now, I think 100% of the nation always cover their PIN. Sometimes you might even get the odd individual that will look underneath the ATM, tap away, make sure there's nothing loose, make sure there's nothing out of the ordinary, and make sure that whatever they're putting their card into, they're not going to get compromised.
देखो बड़ी funny ਗੱਲ है, be suspicious all the time.
Yes.
Just be suspicious. ਤੁਸੀਂ unusual ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹੋ, ਕੋਈ ਬੰਦਾ is hanging over your shoulder, is too close to you in the queue. ਜਾਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਹਟ ਜਾਓ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹੋ ਕਿ ਤੂੰ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਹੋ ਜਾ please, I'm not comfortable standing right behind me.
Exactly.
ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਕੋਈ ਰੂਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ, it's you safeguard ਕਰੋ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ money,
Yeah.
ਤੁਹਾਡੀ safety ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਥੋੜੇ ਪਾਉਂਡਾ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸੱਟ ਲੱਗੇ, ਕੁਝ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਛੁਰੀ ਮਾਰ ਦੇ, ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਬੰਦਾ, you know. For ਜਿਹੜੇ ਏਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਨਾ, a little money is nothing to them.
Yeah.
For them to run away, they will push a knife through you.
Yes, yeah, of course.
They will not even hesitate for a minute.
No, and that's the sad society that we're in today. And especially, you know, with the implications of COVID and people losing jobs, and, you know, there's a lot more individuals out there that are finding it hard, you know, living crisis as well with the bills going up. It's difficult now, and unfortunately it puts people in tight positions and tight spots to
But the other
make
thing I
rational
see
decisions.
in the banks,
Yeah.
I said banks, but majority banks, they are shutting down their counters. They might have one counter open. Normally you run to the machines.
Yeah.
There's maybe one or two girls running around trying to help each and every one. You know, a kiosk, it's such a busy place. You just lose yourself totally at the key or you can't understand.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you know, when you go to, you know, banks, I mean, predominantly are based in, you know, high streets, and you'll never get a bank in kind of a secluded area. None that I've seen anyways. So when you walk into that environment, like you said, you're unaware of everything that's going on around you, and you kind of fall into that bubble. Whereas you always have to be vigilant, always have to be aware, notice who's around, who can be watching, and just make sure that when you eventually see someone in the bank, that, you know, you speak to a quiet level as such, so that other people can't hear what your circumstances are or what information you provide in order for you to get access to your own account. So I think it's just staying vigilant is the main thing, and that word goes across the whole board when it comes to scams and fraud.
Any other advice you would give? Anything which I
In
haven't
terms of
covered?
the advice I would give is mainly just to be more aware of the situations. And I think if we don't share our own experiences, then nobody else would learn. I think when it comes to fraud and it comes to scams, it's like COVID. It's always going to be around. It's always going to be there. And I think it's something that we're going to have to live with it. And as long as we can give our own experiences to other individuals and those other individuals pass that information on, then it helps others and it's like a full circle. For example, there was one article that I had on my phone that I noted down earlier on was the National Cyber Security Centre. There's no specific date that I could find or month when it was released, but they wanted to create a platform and a portal for the whole public to report fraud cases. And there was a website, there was an email where loads of customers would put forward these scams. The first 2 months that platform went live, they had over 2 million reports come in,
God.
which is a lot within only 2 month period. So it does show that there are individuals that are reporting these cases, and it's the awareness is there, and it's not a case of that we can completely shut it down as a whole, but it's a case of lowering these figures of the £58 million that we mentioned earlier on in the show.
What action one need to take immediately? The only thing I can do is I can run to the bank with my account.
Yes.
Or what else they can do? Like,
I mean, I know certain banking apps, there's a lot of banking institutions where they upgrade their apps to cover the customers. And, you can block your card, you can cancel your card, you can freeze your account, you can temporarily block your account. So I think those implementations by these institutions are helping to a certain degree, because if you are worried of something and it does require immediate action, then at least you know that you've got the authority to some extent to potentially stop fraud happening on your account by blocking your own card, by freezing your account, and taking that initiative into your own hands. And then potentially, when you do have time, go into whatever institution it may be and speak with someone face to face, because that's when you'll feel more comfortable speaking with someone from that institution and putting your mind at rest, putting your mind at ease in some way, shape or form.
But the important thing is these days, especially if you talk in the Middlesex area, there are a lot of people who speak all kind of different languages. So you can all accommodate of any community, any language. There's someone or the other you can talk about it.
Yeah, and that's why it's always good to learn to know multiple
Punjabi,
languages. Exactly, which is why I will be taking online lessons soon. So that way I can help the community, and being in the community, the Middlesex area that we are, there's so many different cultures in one space.
Ramon, you've done wonderful being the high street banker and giving that such a professional advice. ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ journey start ਕਰਦੇ from a young age what you want to be.
Yes.
There are a lot of people in your life who support you, who encourage you.
Yes.
And I think if you're going to look at the camera and thank you, whoever you want to thank, would be nice, at least on the national TV.
Yes.
Where are you today? You've not forgotten them.
Yes, no, definitely not. I mean, like we mentioned before, positive family, surrounding yourself with positive people. Family is always key. And, I'd like to thank, my mum, my dad, and, my sisters and my partner, for supporting me through the journeys that I've had and progressing into becoming a better person. And ultimately that stems from home. And radiating that energy, I think, is always good to share that with other individuals so then that they can pass it on. And that way we can all help each other in one way, shape or form.
Am I right to say you forgot one name? You got a little baby?
I have, yes.
Come on, man. How can you do that?
Yes, I've got.
She's such a gorgeous girl.
She is cute.
And your granddad loves that girl. He's a Paul, I'm home with him, with the girl every time. He loves playing with her all the time.
Oh, she's definitely a granddad's girl for sure.
Isn't it?
He spoils her a lot, and she laps it up.
What's her name?
Her name is Saraya. She was born on Christmas Day.
Really?
So yeah, Christmas last year was a very busy one for us. Christmas, birthday, all rolled into one. So we had the whole family. She's one and 3 months.
So she will know. Give her a wave at least when you see
I'll
the
see if she's watching at home. I've told my partner to record it, so we'll rewatch it back on YouTube as well because she loves YouTube. So
really,
yeah. So now that's also another big thing in my life. So obviously, having a kid, as you would know, to support them and to be able to provide for them as well, and teach them the lessons that we've learned as well through our families and parents.
Ramon, you set an example for the family, your parents, your relatives, and the community as well. This is where I find people like you. Honestly, Trust me, मैं हमेशा करना मेरे show. It's not easy. It's very hard work to find people like him and drag them into 9:30 in the studio. It's not easy. Sometimes it takes months and months to organize because sometimes it doesn't work on both sides ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਮੇਰੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਹਰ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਦੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਭਲਾ ਹੋਵੇ, ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਅੱਛਾ ਹੋਵੇ, ਉਹ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਹੋਵੇ, ਕੋਈ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੋਵੇ, ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਟਿਵ ਹੋਵੇ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਮੈਡੀਸਨ ਦਾ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਹੋਵੇ. Don't forget to see Dr. Raj's show tomorrow morning 11 o'clock. That's again quite interesting. ਉਹ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮਜਬੂਰਨ ਦੇਖਣਾ ਹੀ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਕਿ before you are ill. You know, you're forced to watch it now. ਉੱਥੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਹਿਣ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੈਂਦੀ ਕਿ watch ਕਰਿਓ.
Yes, yeah.
They watch it very, very kind of popular show that is.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of people
and
watch
it's good.
that.
Yeah, the more knowledge, the better.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, learn ਕਰੋ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ. ਪਰ ਵੱਡੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ, you know, ਮੈਂ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ learn ਕਰੋ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ information pick ਕਰੋ, ਥੋੜਾ learn ਕਰੋ, ਪਰ risk ਨਾ ਲਵੋ, please. There is no worth it. ਅਗਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ sure ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ, ਤੁਸੀਂ comfortable ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ, do not pass any information on the phone to anybody.
Yes, exactly.
ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਪਤਾ ਕੌਣ ਕਾਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ? How do you know?
You don't. You know, if the banks in certain situations, I've never had a bank call me directly in regards to my account. You know.
Yeah, but Ramon, it's the first time.
Yeah.
And I fell for it.
Yeah, which happens. You know, they might have called 50 people, like we mentioned before, 50 people throughout the day before they even got to your number.
My number.
And you know, they probably were successful with at least half of those 50 people, say for example. And you know, some people fall for it, some people don't. But I guess it's just the learning curve. Like you would say now, if it was to come across again, you're more vigilant, you're more aware.
Absolutely.
And you're not going to be comfortable with sharing this information. And like you said, you'd rather go into somewhere and speak with someone face to face or call a recognized number, because a lot of the text messages that get sent, if you actually click onto the name or whatever the text messages come from, it's actually a mobile number.
Oh my God.
So, you know, banks are never going to send you anything, or other recognized institutions are never going to send you anything via text message through a mobile number. It will always be a recognized landline number. But even then, if it's a landline number, still don't trust it. Be vigilant, be aware. And if it's something that, you know, you're expecting, then there are other avenues and other ways to go about it to find out if that message is meant for you, whether it is legit or whether it is a scam. And I think that's where, you know, there's many websites that we can go on Google. There's fraud websites, 5-step fraud cases, which is another website there's, you know, 5 different steps of fraud to look out for and to be aware of, which is always a good thing. It's all public knowledge. It's just a case of advertising it and putting it out there for other individuals.
But you know, there are a lot of Buzurg, quite a lonely life lead karte ne, and there's hardly anything coming in and out. Koi bache apni life ach busy hai ne, and sometimes they see कि post office to को parcel आ रहे हैं, they get excited कि मुझे किस तरह याद किया यार. You don't think for a minute.
No.
Receiving a present is kind of a highlight of the day.
Yeah, of course.
You fall for it, no?
You fall for it. Like I said, even if you're not expecting anything, you're just curious to see, if I click on this link, what will happen?
Once you clicked it, you've done it.
It's human nature. We're all curious in one way, shape or form. So, you know, if we're getting these emails or we're getting these messages, we want to see what the end goal is. And unfortunately, the end goal is not good. So,
jira right hand click karda na, left hand usam jabo kyun khich lave wapas. Make sure that doesn't let you do it.
Exactly.
You got to form a habit, na?
Yes, you do. And you know, like on today's episode, it's a case of making people aware of the situation, so that they can, if they ever find themselves in that situation, like you said, you've got the devil on one shoulder, the angel on one. You just have to manage it and be clear and vigilant in how you approach that situation and the best way to act on it.
Yeah, एक सारी चीज़ों से बड़ी गल है कि मैं बड़ा शरीफ है, मैं बड़ा सीधा आदमी हूँ, मैं बड़ा सिंपल है, मैं किसी को धोखा नहीं करता. Everybody is not like that.
No. Yeah. Everybody has their own ways of dealing.
But then you sit and think, यार लोग ऐसा भी कमाई कर देने, robbing each other, robbing their lifetime savings.
Yeah, it's not good, but you know, it's immoral. At the end of the day, it's an immoral thing, and unfortunately,
they don't have a moral.
Yeah, they don't have that moral compass, and you know, scamming people out of their hard-earned money is wrong, but it's something that is done on a daily basis. And we just have to put the awareness out there for everybody to understand and acknowledge, so it doesn't happen to them or family, friends or loved ones.
चलो हम तो बहुत लेट है कॉल करना because we're coming to the end of the show. मैं हमेशा कहूँ ना, अगर तुझे कॉल करना होता ना, मेरा फर्ज बनता मैं थोड़ा नाम पूछता हूँ ना, but you don't have to give your name. पर अपना ना शेयर करा करो एक्सपीरियंस अच्छा होया पैड़ा होया ताकि लोग पता लगे उन्होंने जागरण हो जान कि उन्हें और सफर ना करें. Ramon, anything else you want to say? Good, like a minute to go.
Nothing from me personally, but thank you very much for having me on the show. Much appreciated. Great to be here, and it was a great experience.
No, you will help. You will help. You were a big help to me. Because you know what happens? A lot of times, right from the start, I said, you think I know. You think. You don't know.
No, yeah.
You only know when you fall for it. Then the only thing you can do is kick yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, why did I do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, why did I do that? Then you're so embarrassed, you don't talk
You
to
don't want
anybody.
to talk to anybody, yeah. Which is where in a society we might go wrong, where, you know, we might feel embarrassed, but then we do have to share it, because then ultimately you've made that mistake and you ultimately want to stop somebody else from making the same mistake and them losing their hard-earned money as well. As regretful as it can be after it's all done, as long as we can help someone else, that's the main thing.
I don't know, मेरे बच्चे वॉच करते कि नहीं करते, मतलब अपना बाप का प्रोग्राम नहीं देखते हो. अगर they देखते हैं, I put myself in trouble because they're going to be asking me questions. Dad, how did you do that?
Yeah.
How can you do that?
No, it's fine. I'll speak with them and make sure.
Please, मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ अपनी फीडबैक दिया करो कितना दा तुसी सब्जेक्ट लाइक कर रहे हो. मैं पहला माफ़ी चाहूँगा, मैं बड़ी कोशिश की थी बोलने दी. ट्राई टू कीप द शो गोइंग. इट वाज सो डिफिकल्ट, सो हार्ड. कमिटमेंट मेरी लॉयल्टी थोड़े नाल चैनल नाल ताकि लोगों का भला हो सके. अज किसी का पैसा शायद बच हो सकता है अगर उन्हें ध्यान देना साडी गल सुनी होएगी. Yeah, it's important.
Very.
And Ramon, it's so nice कि तुसी एफर्ट करके आए हो. And hopefully we'll do some other shows with some different
definitely,
topic.
definitely, yeah.
Because banking is a bada vada subject है ना.
It's such a vast industry, and there's so much happening in regards to that sector, and you know there's so much to touch upon, even with the scams and the frauds. Like I said, it's like a black hole. There's so many different types of scams out there. I think in this episode we just touched the surface and a little bit more, but I think, you know, if there's ever an opportunity to come back on the show again, I'll be happy to.
No, absolutely,
happy to
because
come
you
on.
see, I will always find some other subject.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Ramon, thank you so much.
No
I think we
problem.
need
Thank you for
to
having me.
wrap up the show now.
Yeah.
I'm really happy you came, and thank you for your parents
No
for
problem.
making you such a thorough gentleman, and we're proud of you as a friend, family friend, and the community.
Thank you.
Please, अपना support करा करो, हमेशा देखते करो program. Next week, same time, फिर थोड़ा मुलाकात होगी. Thank you for bearing with me. My voice बहुत ही अच्छी नहीं सही. Next week मुलाकात करेंगे. सत श्री अकाल जी.